Hello, I'm Heather Westwell.
And I'm Fergus Woods Dunlop. Together we are New Old Friends Theatre Company, fighting crime up and down the country. I mean, we're not doing that. What we are doing is welcoming you to Chapter 3 of Crimes Against Christmas, a daily comedy audio drama for Advent.
So far in the story, arts investigator Peter Artridge has been hired by a mysterious German stranger to investigate the case of the Fabergé bauble. He's made his way to the remote island of Richshtenshan for Christmas and met fellow guest and first suspect, a nervy priest.
As always, please like, share, rate and subscribe, and if you'd like to, there's a link on our website, newoldfriends.co.uk, where you can buy us a virtual coffee.
On with the story! Chapter 3. What's in a name?
The disembodied voice turned out to be embodied within the body of some body after all. The corporeal entity in question was short, round, and neatly encased in a dark jacket, grey waistcoat, white wing collar dress shirt with black tie, black and grey striped trousers, and a pair of white gloves. Unless I was very much mistaken, and by now you should have no reason to doubt my deductive powers, this was the butler. "Dash it!" I chided. "Who the hell do you think you are, looming up on a pair of chaps without warning like that? You could have sent the father here shooting into the water, scaring him like that. Did you hear the sound he made?" "Terribly sorry, sirs, I did not mean to loom," replied the loomer. "I was merely waiting for your arrival. The looming, I fear, was more the work of mist and imagination, if you'll forgive my saying so, sirs." "What? Who are you?" demanded the clergyman, obviously not blessed with the same powers of observation as I. "I'm the butler to Lord and Lady de Planus and her father, the Duke of Richshtenshan, sir." "Huh, I thought you were. Took one look at the togs and thought, hello, here's the butler." "Very good, Mr. Artridge." "I don't want to complain," the vicar began, having recovered himself somewhat. "But, that boat pilot of yours is not, she's not, He trailed off, but I picked up the thread and spun the rest of the tale. "She's an infuriating little twit, is what my enlightened companion here is trying to say. She engaged us both in some most unwelcome wordplay at boarding, and now she's shoved off quicker than you can say anchors away without so much as your by or leave." "Apologies, sir. Brenda is an expert at navigating the treacherous shallows around Richshtenshan, but I admit her manner leaves something to be desired. But fear not, you shan't see her again until Boxing Day now, sirs." The priest shifted a little uneasily, causing the pontoon to resume its bobbing. "How do you... what do you mean, butler?" "Brenda does not stay on the island and won't be back until the 26th, sir." "Well, what if we want to leave before then?" "The invite was for a 3-night Christmas stay. Tonight, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Why ever would you want to leave before then, sir?" "Well, I don't know, any number of reasons, I suppose." The butler paused, closed his eyes and drew in a long breath before speaking. "Well, sir, I'm afraid the next crossing is not until the 26th, and we have no way of raising her before then, sir. Duke Richshtenshan does not approve of telephones and has forbidden them from the house." "Artridge, what do you make of all this, no way of hailing the boat until the 26th business?" "Well, it's a bit unusual." "Exactly what I was saying, unusual and so on. But then, so's accepting a mysterious invite to a party on a remote island with a group of people you've never met before. Assuming, of course, the larder and cellar are fully stocked to see us through, I'm fine with it." "Well put, sir. Thank you, sir," said the butler with a nod of his head. "Betty, our cook, has ordered in some delicious items for the feast, and your hosts have made sure they have everything prepared to suit each of their guests perfectly. Pipe, sir." Like all the best butlers, this chap must have been part prestidigitator, because one second I would have sworn blind his glove hand was empty, and the next it was offering me a rather inviting-looking pipe. He'd even contrived to have it lit for me. "Don't mind if I do. Thank you." I took a couple of puffs and blew an appreciative smoke ring. "Hang on a tick. What blend is this?" "Well, that would be 1 part Virginian, 2 parts Burley, with a pinch of Latakia mixed through, sir." "Well, I'll be. That's exactly how I get Smithson's to make it up for me back home." "Quite so, sir. We've done our research on all our guests, sir." There was something about his slightly smug smile while he imparted this knowledge that made me rather uneasy. Nothing overtly sinister, more a feeling of something just being a bit off. But I told myself I'd probably overindulged on the McMickle's bottle of scotch last night, plus all the kerfuffle on the boat had set me on edge, and I didn't give it another thought. My man of the cloth was still a touch agitated, though. "What little tidbit do you have to impress me, then, eh? Do you have some favourable treat of mine secreted about your person?" At present, sir, no. I don't have anything specifically for you, but rest assured there are many surprises waiting at the house, sir. And of course, if you would like anything in particular, I trust you will feel comfortable to treat me as your own. Now, if you'll both follow me. Right, so, nothing for me. Treat you as my own. Well, what's your name? I mean, what do we call you? Butler, sir. I believe the father was asking for your name, not position. Butler is my name, Mr. Artridge. I believe it's a phenomenon known as nominative determinism, sir, whereby a person ends up with a job or hobby predicated by their name. That is ridiculous! Exploded the padre, with almost the same level of fury I'd witnessed him earlier turn towards his seasonal worshippers. Seemed a bit OTT if you ask me, but one can never tell what's going to work these spiritual types up into a lather. I remember once getting into a spot of bother at a younger cousin's christening service. Some venerable aunt or other had been the victim of avian effluence. A bird relieved itself onto her dress. And when I stepped in with a wetted handkerchief to help, the chappie in charge went absolutely doolally. Apparently, the handily placed bowl of water I'd used to wet said hanky was the font. Anyway, in the face of our priest's outburst, the butler wasn't moved at all and calmly stated his case. Is it, sir? I'm sure you're correct, but there are many notable examples, sir. Notable examples? Name just one. Of course, sir. Would sir accept Lord Brain, the famous neurologist? Or John Wisdom, the noted philosopher? Pure coincidence, sputtered the furious priest. Why on earth did this bother him so much? Well, sir, there are 2 American scientists studying incontinence, named J.W. Splat and D. Weed-on. These 2 made me laugh out loud. That's very good, Butler. Is that true? I asked. Absolutely genuine, sir, he replied, then turned meaningfully towards the priest. And may I ask your name, father? It's funny. I hadn't thought to ask the preacher man his name when we first met, having been more than happy to refer to the old boy simply as father, which was perhaps for the best, as he didn't look exactly thrilled to receive the question. My name is, John. And your surname, sir? The steward urged, to the obvious discomfort of poor John. From the way the butler was enjoying this, I'd wager there was some history between him and the church. Maybe he was schooled by a particularly sadistic set of nuns, or forced to mime in his Sunday school choir's Harvest Festival concert and never lived down the shame. Whatever it was, he was certainly savouring the embarrassment he was inducing. Fine! My name is Vickers. Father John Vickers. Happy? Welcome to Richshtenshan, Father Vickers, sir. And you too, Mr. Artridge. Now we're all introduced, please follow me to the house. Do watch your step. We'll be taking a path through the orchard, and sadly our gardener retired in the autumn. We've been perhaps a bit lax in sweeping the leaves since. Fear not, though. Maintenance inside the house is exemplary, sir. Please feel free to leave your bags. They'll be delivered to your rooms. Instructions dealt with, he set off at a brisk pace you wouldn't have thought his rotund little body could manage. Father John Vickers and I had to put in a bit of a shift so as not to lose sight of the butler's bobbing form in the mist. Vickers was clearly not one to take regular exercise, so was soon breathing heavily alongside me. I admit, it was a longer trek than one might expect, so conversation was at a minimum. I took advantage of the time to assess the situation. I now knew I was going to be here for the full 3 nights, whether I uncovered the plot before then or not. My initial hunch that it would prove to be the butler what done it wasn't exactly eased by meeting the nominatively determined little so-and-so. There was something about him which didn't inspire trust. On the surface, there was nothing suspicious in finding out my regular tobacco order and getting some in. In a way, it was simply an exemplary service on his part. But he took an unseemly joy in revealing he knew things about me and the other guests. I had absolutely no doubt he was fully aware of Vickers' surname prior to drawing the information out of him in such torturous fashion. Yes, Butler the butler was definitely a bit too clever for his own good. My mind was also turning over the fact that the evening after my invite was delivered, I'd headed down to my club to wish everyone's glad tidings and all the rest of it, and while I was there I'd asked around about this Lord de Planus. Nobody had anything to tell me about him. There were the usual vague assertions one always gets, that he was the brother of somebody or the cousin of someone else, and didn't he own that patch of Norfolk old Westwell had tried to buy? Harrison, the club's treasurer, inevitably claimed to be owed money by the brigand, but then Harrison would swear blind a newborn baby had welched on a poker-deck 3 months earlier. My club may not be the most salubrious or exclusive in the country, but it's pretty rare you can mention anyone of a certain social standing and not learn anything concrete about them. It was odd. As I walked, I was starting to think maybe there was a reason the shadow who hired me had paid me so well for this case, and that there might just be more to it than meets the eye. The drinks reception would provide a perfect opportunity to meet the other guests/suspects and sound them out. I was feeling quite sure of my theory that the theft would be committed by a member of the household staff, and was developing a second arm in which one of the guests could well have hired them to do so and was here to collect the freshly filched Fabergé bauble. I'd been aware for the past few moments of a dim glow in the gloom ahead, but now the mist seemed to clear and the imposing facade of Richshtenshan was revealed in all its Gothic splendour. It was an impressive construction of dark stone with specks of something within it which caught the moonlight and gave the whole building the appearance of having been brushed by fairy dust. It looked a very appropriate location to spend the Christmas season, a gift from under the tree coated with glitter. The house itself had 2 grand crenellated towers at either end of a vast central structure which was dotted with archery slits in the upper floors, but in the lower levels these had been considerably widened into large windows through which I could see blazing crystal chandeliers and plenty of other finery. Huge gilt-framed mirrors, paintings and the like. There was a roaring wood fire in a grand fireplace which was decked out in the trimmings of the season. Beautiful brass candlesticks and festive knick-knacks nestled in amongst evergreen foliage. Instantly, any questions I may have had about the lavishness of the entertainment on offer were answered. This would be a party I would not forget in a hurry, I thought to myself, and how right I was. Would sirs like to change out of their travelling attire before joining the other guests for drinks? I must have lost track of where Butler was while taking in the house, as he caused another shock by appearing behind and between Vickers and I, where before there'd been nothing. For a second I thought Vickers was going to box Butler about the ears, and not without cause. "You mustn't keep appearing like that. It isn't polite." "I am awfully sorry, sir. I'll do my best to announce myself more clearly in future. As to my previous question, would either of you prefer to freshen up first, or shall I convey you directly to the drinks reception?" As amusing as I'd found it to watch this Butler chap have a bit of fun with Father Vickers, his manner was starting to grate. "We can hardly dress for drinks now, can we?" I said curtly. "You told us to leave our bags back where we disembarked the boat." It felt good to score a point off the smug little so-and-so, but far from causing him to stop smiling, it only served to broaden his grin. "Yes, sir, quite so. But your bags should now have been brought to your rooms should you wish to change, sirs." "What? How in the devil's that possible? We've come straight here. I know it's gotten a little dark, but I would have spotted anyone passing us in either direction." "I see, sir. Yes, I don't doubt that, sir. You strike me as a particularly observant man, sir." "Well, then, it's just that the route I've used to bring us here is simply the flattest path, sir, not the quickest. The Isle of Richshtenshan has lots of paths and snickets traversing it, but many of these are quite precarious with steep drops and jagged outcrops which can be quite dangerous to newcomers, especially in the dark, and what with the mist, I thought it better to take the longer path. I do hope you understand, sirs." Once more, nothing he'd said could reasonably give cause for offence, but a glint in his eyes belied the fact he'd enjoyed taking poor old Vickers and I on a longer walk than necessary. This final piece of showmanship was a pleasing added bonus. The priest scowled, but answered cordially enough. "Well, if our bags are here, I for one would like to change. The walkers, well, you see, I'm a little... I think what Father Vickers is saying is, we're both a bit dishevelled given our long journeys, and would appreciate the opportunity to freshen up. Lead the way to our rooms, thank you, Butler." "Of course, sirs. It's this way." "And this time I think we'll brave the most direct route, if it's all the same to you." "Yes, sir." My room was well appointed, and as promised, my bags left neatly to one side. I undressed, splashed some water from the basin about a bit, and gave a little dab of cologne and dressed for drinks. I tried to cut a tolerably suave figure at all times, but when making an entrance at a soirée of unknowns, I aimed for the sartorial heights. As such, I put on my impeccably cut dinner jacket, deep blue-black with an almost imperceptible silver thread woven throughout. It's just this side of ostentatious, but eye-catching nonetheless. With such a bold statement piece up top, the rest one can afford to understate. A crisp white shirt, a simple, dark bow-tie and bund combination with black trousers and a pair of patent Oxfords. The only other embellishments were 2 gleaming silver cufflinks to complement the jacket. "Yes, Artridge, my boy," I thought to myself as I enjoyed my reflection. "You look fit for an audience with the king." Well, the king wasn't spending Christmas on Richshtenshan, but the first guest I was to meet did claim royal lineage. First new guest, I should say. I bumped into Father Vickers directly outside my door. I wasn't particularly thrilled to have him tag along, as I didn't want any of the other attendees to think I was a member of his church, but I couldn't think of any good reason to refuse him. The priest and I were announced into the hall separately by Butler, but my erstwhile shipmate showed no signs of wanting to leave my side as I began to make my rounds of introduction. The great hall was the room I'd glimpsed through the impressive windows on my way to the house, and it looked much as I'd anticipated. The polished floor reflected the light from the glittering chandeliers and dancing flames from the greenery-bedecked fireplace beautifully. There was a long table running down the centre of the room, positively groaning under the weight of champagne flutes fizzing away. Including the staff, there were 10 or 12 of us milling around in small groups around the table. Typically at parties, I prefer to start with someone who looks to be quite high up the social food chain, so I selected a dazzling, if severe, beauty as the party's probable alpha and beat a path towards her. She was tall, with delicately equine features and rich, heavy eyelashes which she made full use of. Her jet-black hair was pulled back so tightly it's a wonder she had enough elasticity in her skin to bat her eyelashes in the way she did. Her shoulders were bare, exposing a beautiful understated necklace and the geometric precision of her clavicle, but every inch of her body beneath that was swathed in sable. An elegant hand and wrist wearing a long scarlet glove protruded from the mass of marten, holding a feute of the bubbly wine muck Jimmy McMickle so despised. She was the very paragon of high society glamour, and the deference being shown her by the rest of the room clearly placed her at the top of the social totem pole. Vickers clearly thought so too, and assumed she was our hostess. "Thank you, for inviting us into your home, milady," he offered, with a bow. The lashes blinked demurely, and she looked him up and down.
"Princess."
"What? Who are you calling princess?" The Irishman bristled. "Now look here, I don't know what you've heard about the clergy, but
I am princess, not a lady. I am a lady, but you will call me princess."
"Oh, I see. You're a princess. I thought, it doesn't matter what I thought, milady. My princess, I mean."
"No, it does not matter."
Her accent was clipped Russian, and her tone was as cold as Siberia.
"You are a priest. He is priest. I have no need for priest. Who are you?"
"I'm Artridge, Your Highness. Pleasure to meet you. Can I ask your name?"
Faktivino.
"How can you not know your own name?"
My name is Faktivino. Princess Faktivino.
"Oh, I see, right, yes. Whereabouts in Russia are you from?"
I do not care to tell you. I like your jacket. It is nice. I thought perhaps you were host. You did not know who I was, so you cannot be. Where is the butler? I found more caviar. It is good. Beluga. At least there is that. You, religious person, you will hold my drink for me, but you will not speak."
Instruction delivered, the princess handed Vickers her drink and swept off to the other side of the table. He shot me a helpless look and followed dutifully behind like an obedient Trappist side table. A Russian here at this party. Russia, the land of Tsars, election interference, and of course, the birthplace of the Fabergé bauble.
That's chapter 3.
Chapitre 3.
More guests to meet, more suspects to suspect.
And just a note to say that the people Butler uses to demonstrate nominative determinism are 100% authentic, real-life, true people.
See you soon, and don't forget to like, rate and subscribe.
Click, click, click.